Welcome up to the show, guys. This is Studio 321. This is your podcast host, Eddie B. So tonight I wanted to take you back to a story I saw years and years ago, actually when I was a kid, and it never left. You know, it was one of those kind of stories that you just watch and it kind of burns in your mind. And I think I was 15 years old when I saw this, and you know, I think I was watching late night TV or something just on PBS, and I watched this experiment, and it's been burnt in my mind ever since. And I actually found it on YouTube, so I'm going to show you that in a little bit. But I wanted to start by talking about some Elon Musk stuff, and it all kind of ties in together. So, you know, everybody knows I'm an Elon Musk fan. I follow a lot of stuff, you know, that he does, and I've been following him for a long time, not just since the recent politics, but, you know, going back some years. So I saw him on a forum one night, and he was talking about population control, and he said, you know, basically, you know, you have the folks out there that want to control population, and then you have the folks that just feel like, you know, we don't need any controls on any of that, and he's in that club.
I think a lot of people think that there's too many people on the planet, but I think there's, in fact, too few, and that the possibly the single greatest risk to human civilization is the rapidly diminishing birth rate. And the facts are out there for anyone to look at. But a lot of people are still stuck with, you know, Paul Ehrlich's book, Population Bomb. And it's like, that was a long time ago. That is not the case today.
He was basically saying that, you know, if we don't let our population flourish, that it will collapse in about 20 years. And I understand what he's saying, because he's going by the numbers of, you know, numbers of children everybody has and this and that. But I'm sitting here watching him talk about this, and it just popped in my head about that experiment that I saw years and years ago. So again, I looked it up and found it on YouTube. It was an experiment done by a guy named John Calhoun, and it was an experiment done with mice. Okay, so I'm not gonna get into too much detail on that, because I'm gonna show you the actual video. But so Elon Musk is talking about how, you know, we need to have more children, and to basically, you know, keep spreading our population around the planet. And he said that, and I didn't know this, but he said if you put everybody shoulder to shoulder, you could put everybody on the planet in New York City, standing up shoulder to shoulder. And I was like, wow, you know, that's actually, I mean, it kind of puts things in perspective that we don't take up that much space. However, in my opinion, you know, humans we're pretty needy, and we're very territorial, and, you know, we need our own space, and, you know, we build our homes, and we want our land, and we want all this stuff that, you know, gives us our own space. And I think when you start going by that metric, we actually take up a lot of space. But anyway, so I'm gonna put this video on for you, and I want you to watch, and you tell me what you think.
In 1972, John B. Calhoun detailed the specifications of a utopia designed for mice, built in the laboratory. Every aspect of Universe 25, as this particular model was called, was designed to cater for the well-being of its rodent residents, increase their lifespan, and allow them to mate. There was abundant food, water, and nesting material. The universe was cleaned regularly. There were no predators. The temperature stable. Paradise. Or maybe not. 4 pairs of disease-free mice selected from the National Institute of Health's elite breeding colony moved in on day 1. It took months for the rodents to familiarize themselves with their new world. Then they started to reproduce, and the population increased exponentially, doubling every 55 days. Those were the good times in paradise. Past day 315, more than 600 mice now lived in Universe 25, rubbing shoulders on their way up and down the stairwells to eat, drink, and sleep. Population growth slowed. Young ones found themselves born into a world with far more mice than meaningful social roles. Males faced a lot of competitors to defend their territory against. Many found that so stressful they gave up. Normal discourse within the community broke down, and with it the ability of mice to form social bonds. Lone females retreated to isolated nesting boxes on penthouse levels. Other males, a group Calhoun termed the beautiful ones, never sought sex and never fought. They just ate, slept, and groomed, wrapped in narcissistic introspection. Elsewhere, cannibalism, asexuality, and violence became endemic. Mouse society had collapsed. On day 560, the population peaked at 2,200 mice. A few mice survived past weaning until day 600, after which there were few pregnancies and no surviving young. As the population had stopped regenerating itself, its path to extinction was clear. The mice had lost the capacity to rebuild their numbers. Many that could still conceive, such as the beautiful ones and their secluded singleton female counterparts, had lost the social ability to do so. On day 920 was the last conception. The last mouse died on May 23, 1973, 4 years and 10 months after colonization. Calhoun later said that the creatures had died 2 deaths. The first was that of their spirit and their society. The second death was that of their physical body.
Now, you watch the video, and I mean, what does it look like? That, to me, it looks, that's the human race. You know, I think of that, there's an absolute comparison between the two, you know? And also, you know, I've worked in the nightclub business, bar business my whole life. You know, I'm used to crowds. I know how crowds react. And what he's talking about on that experiment is exactly how we act. You know, when let's say you have a club with 1,000 people in it, right? And the atmosphere is good. You know, everything's good. There's good music. It's packed. So as long as everybody has something to pay attention to, like say some good songs or whatever, or maybe someone's on stage doing something, they stay focused on that and they're having a great time. But as soon as you take that music away, or you take that thing they're all focused on away, and they're just a huge crowd of people, within minutes you'll have problems breaking out. And again, you know, I've worked in the club business, you know, my whole life, dealing with crowds, and I always knew this. You know, I would be working at a big nightclub, and you know, at the end of the night, as soon as the music shuts off, that's when the danger starts, because now all of a sudden everybody's looking around. They don't have their own space. They're all crowded and jammed in one area, and it starts to cause problems between them. And that's exactly how it works every time. And I used to, when I was always the head of security when I worked in certain places, and I would always teach my staff that to start paying attention, because when everything's good and there's good things to pay attention to, there's no problems. But soon as they lose that distraction and they realize that they're just jammed in a room with way too many people tend to get claustrophobic, they get aggressive, and then the violence breaks out. But anyways, you know, that was just a little sidebar. But so, you know, we really do need to figure out something, in my mind. I don't know, you know, again, I'm a big fan of Elon Musk, and I know that he says we have way more room on the planet for, you know, tons and tons more people. And if you went by the numbers, by the math numbers, he's right. You know, we do have a lot of space. There's miles and miles of land that doesn't have people on it, stuff like that. But that all also, you know, you have to have a level of efficiency when you have overcrowdedness. In other words, the food chain has to be perfect. Everything has to work in perfect harmony, because as soon as it breaks down, what you end up with is total chaos. Where when you don't have, you know, that type of population density, you can make mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, you could run out of food for a couple of days or something like that, and it would be okay because you don't have that many people to feed. Or run out of water for a little bit or whatever. But when everybody is codependent on everyone else, it creates that need, constant need, And when that breaks down, it just causes mass problems. I really believe that we really need to find out what kind of society and country we want, going forward. I think we need some architecture on that level. When you go to build a city or a town, before anybody ever breaks ground on it, they design the main city, and they design, how many inhabitants, and they do all that, is all pre-planned out. And I think in some aspects we need to do that to decide how we're going to go forward, with our country. Some people believe in mass immigration. I don't. I believe in some immigration, but not mass immigration. And because what does that do? Does that end up causing overcrowding issues? We really need to study this stuff and find out what we want to do with our country going forward. That way we don't make a huge mistake. Forget what the rest of the world is doing. We're not every other country in the world. We're the United States. So we need to figure out what is best for us. And, it's like when you watch experiments like this, there's a lot of dangers in it, Obviously, there's dangers in population collapse where you don't have enough children to continue forward and your population declines. But there's also a lot of danger in overcrowding population as well. And I think we really need to explore that and just, try to figure out which direction we're going to go with it. But anyways, guys, if you like my video, please like and subscribe. Please hit the subscribe button. It really helps out my video. This is Eddie from Studio 321. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, guys.